Hello and welcome once again to BNWYDSE, the official THAC Podcast. I'm Tim Sutton. Here's Troy.
Hi.
And Joseph.
Hi.
How is you guys doing today? I'm doing pretty good.
My tummy hurts.
Why does your tummy hurt?
Because you
Tell
drank
us why
that
your tummy
milkshake.
hurt.
Because when we were eating lunch, I said, I'm going to get a milkshake, even though I know I shouldn't. And
I got a milkshake and it was fine. Well, I also didn't drink all of it.
Yeah.
It's in the freezer.
I drank all of mine, and then I jogged around campus.
Oh yeah, you want to say why you had to jog around campus?
I forget when I have class, and the class had a very strict attendance policy where if you miss 3 of them, you fail the class.
Which is stupid as hell.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Even though all of my grades in there are like 98.
Yeah,
100,
exactly.
stuff like that.
You paid for the class. Why would they care how you make a good grade?
I don't know, but
Don't make a good grade. It's not. It has no whatever. I graduate from school. It doesn't really affect me, but I've always thought that.
Angrier than I am.
I always thought that was really stupid when I went to school too. I was like, if I'm paying for it, you shouldn't care.
I already missed 2 classes though, and today the class starts at 1. We were at lunch, and I got a text message from my girlfriend at 1:06. Hey, did you remember to go to your lab? And I was like, we have to leave.
I just
I
finished eating, and Joseph was looking at his phone. And he just went, "We have to go."
And I had just bought a...
You were in line.
I had just paid for this milkshake, and then Joseph just runs up and he just says, "We have to leave right now. We'll come back for you." And then they just had to run out the door. And so I thought, great, I'm just going to have to sit at this Chick-fil-A for like half an hour for Troy to get back. But luckily they were really snappy with that milkshake, so I was able to sort of intercept you in the parking lot.
As I was
on the way
pulling out,
I just
pretty
kind of darted in front of the car.
It was pretty action movie-y. Like we were still driving, you just kind of dove in the moving
We
car.
have the worst action movies. It's Tim running to catch the car, and then me changing text on video.
Well, I mean, Chick-fil-A, I guess it's like, I don't know if it's a southern thing or if it's an everywhere thing, but lunchtime at Chick-fil-A is ridiculously busy, so it was just like cars everywhere, so I wasn't really driving that fast anyway. So it's just like stuck in a traffic jam, and Tim runs up, I'm going like 0.2 miles an hour.
In addition to just automatically failing the class, I was also concerned because I was thinking that today was the final for it, for this lab, and I thought it's like, well, it's a test day. If somebody leaves before I get there, then generally I won't even be able to enter the room.
See, just the fact that you fail outright, like, it doesn't matter if you're making perfectly fine grades for the, the things that count towards your grade. You miss 3 classes, you fail outright, and you have to pay the money again. Actually, I just figured out why they do that.
Yeah.
You have to pay the money again.
You have to pay the money again to take the class over, and then you still have that permanent spot on your record that you can't do anything about. They're not going to take that off.
One of my absences was me being sick, and I didn't have health insurance at the time, so no doctor's excuse. So even though I was sick, it doesn't count. It turns out, though, that it was not the final day. I walked in there, and the only person in the room was my teacher. And I was just like, oh, God, what happened? So I just went up, and I was like, I'm sorry I'm late. And she was just like, oh, that's cool. Just put me on the attendance. So we're okay, even though I was like 40 minutes late for the class. So,
well, at least you survived then.
So yeah,
now
bottom line, my tummy hurts.
Anyway.
So we have not as many updates as usual today, just because we've been...
Not as many as we had in the last episode anyway.
Yeah, because we're working on the things that we announced during the last episode, especially with all of the Kickstarter stuff, because there are a lot of smaller details that we have to, deal with and calculate and work around and be sure we have all of these things, figuring out reward tiers, figuring out this, all that kind of
Kickstarters
stuff.
are hard.
Yeah.
Getting artwork for all of the exclusive stuff.
Yes, we're in the process of having that done right now, and we've seen some early proofs, and so far what we've seen is really cool.
Yeah, I got sent the first draft, or like the ready to be shown to everyone box art for the DVD that's going to go on the Kickstarter. Still not locked in, but that's the one that is.
We feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be minor changes from then on if there are any. So.
Yeah. So yeah, we are working on that, and.
We just shot the Kickstarter video.
Yes.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And so we're getting getting on the ball on that and been working on the re-renders and stuff for the season 1 DVD.
Yeah.
The new season 1 that we DVD that we wanted to make, and it is kind of surreal, and also I'm really glad that Troy is as good at, or was as good as backing everything up as he was, because there has been a remarkably small amount of things missing, and everything has been able to be fixed. But it's also kind of strange because this is literally better than the season 1 has ever looked.
Yeah.
So that should be pretty exciting.
Even on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I have the all of season 1 and 2 on 3 external hard drives locked in a fireproof, waterproof safe, like a foot away from us right now.
and he opened up that safe and entrusted me with one of those highly sensitive external drives. So
I don't know.
Sure that
would you call an external drive sensitive?
No, not really.
Yeah. Although the first external drive I ever bought was I can't remember if it was SanDisk or no, it was LaCie, which is it's how you say it. Like, it's not Lacy, it's LaCie.
What? How do you spell that?
LACIE.
I don't think I've even heard of that brand before.
It's like in the little circle. You probably know if you saw it. It looks kind of like the Samsung logo, actually. I think.
Anyway, was that the orange
yeah,
one?
I was gonna say, like, the first one I bought, I think it was called ruggedized. like it was made rugged, so it was ruggedized. So it had like this orange rubber bumper thing around it. Actually, it was the one that was used in the last entry of season 2 of Marble Hornets, the one that was in Alex's little bag. It was that with the rubber thing taken off, so it looked like a hard drive.
So that bright orange thing wouldn't stand out quite so much.
Yeah, and I think it was after it was used in that entry, it didn't work anymore.
Nice.
So it couldn't handle being carried around in, what, a duffel bag? Is that what it was in?
Yeah, in the little camera bag that we used.
So it's ruggedized, so, if you feel like taking your data with you on, say, a hiking trip,
well,
if you're going to climb
that,
some mountains, or
make sure that orange rubber's on it, because the second you take that orange rubber off, it's screwed. You'll never get any of that back.
Just one of the many casualties of Marble Hornets.
Yeah, the other 2 things being your cars.
Yeah.
My car is next to mine.
Because Joseph's yours just sort of stopped working, right?
My transmission was hardly working for probably over a year.
Couldn't you not go over second gear for a while?
Yeah. Then we got the transmission replaced, and then like the radiator shit itself, and it was like, by the time I finished paying for all this, I think the quote we got for getting everything fixed on it was like $3,500, and it's like, this car is not worth that much, so we're just like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's probably worth a lot less than my car, because I got like the insurance statement for my car a while ago, and it was worth like $1,200.
I told my grandparents to sell it for scrap or whatever, and everything.
Get rid of it.
I think they got like $300 or something for it.
Nice.
Yeah, my car is no longer around because it just straight up got destroyed by a.
It didn't get destroyed. It just
the front of it got just taken clean off.
Well, it was like it got very specifically destroyed.
Yeah,
the important part got destroyed.
I'm pretty sure the important part that got destroyed is the airbags, and that probably put it over the value.
Yeah.
So I think the airbags going off is what totaled your car. I did air quotes there.
Yeah, because what happened was...
Did you even need the airbags in the wreck?
No.
Yeah. I just saw them flash up in front of me and then just kind of fizzle out. Just kind of
I was in the passenger seat and I didn't even lurch forward. I thought we didn't get hit. Except for the fact that an airbag came out.
It felt like something just sort of scraped, but then the airbags popped out and I just went, oh no. Because what happened was just minding my own business, driving down. Joseph and I were driving to Troy's because we were about to go shoot an entry.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones.
It was at night.
It was one of the nighttime ones. And this truck just ran the red light, and
dude was on his phone.
Yep. Later found out he was on his phone looking for directions.
Wasn't even his truck.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He was driving his friend's truck to go pick up his drunk friends.
Yeah, and it looked like what happened was this truck had one of those steps to climb into it that was just kind of like that horizontal pipe that runs along the bottom of it. And it looks like that caught the front of my car underneath the headlight, took everything underneath the headlights just clean off, and then made that truck roll like 4 or 5 times. So he definitely came out of it worse.
It was minor enough to where I just like looked to my side like, what just happened? And saw the truck flipping.
I didn't even see the truck flipping because it landed on its wheels and everything. So, like, I didn't know that until you told me about it, because that guy was, like, sitting outside of it by that point.
Yeah. How many times did it roll?
About 4.
Jeez.
Luckily, there was a cop car, like, 2 cars behind me, so I immediately saw those lights go on as soon as that happened.
I cannot figure out the physics of that happening. Like,
it caught the side and caused his back wheels to slide out.
Oh, and then he
rolled from the momentum.
Yeah,
so I was trying to figure out how it
sort of caught it, like, made it do, like, that, I think.
That?
Yeah.
Like that? No,
like
not...
I'm demonstrating to Troy. It's hard. I can't really describe this in words, I don't think.
No,
it wasn't the way Joseph described it.
It wasn't really like that. It was more like this.
Yeah.
Or like this or that.
More like this.
Well,
yeah.
Whoa, put your pants on.
Okay.
Oh.
No. I don't have to wear pants. They can't see me.
Anyway. I forgot what we were talking about.
Cars and...
The casualties of Marble Hornets.
Oh, Marble Hornets casualties. Yeah, cars.
We'll save that for the commentary.
Our relationship.
They're saving so much stuff for the commentary that we're definitely not going to remember.
And
our friendships.
It's a running joke. Anyway, yeah, we're putting together...
Being busy little bees.
being busy little bees. And we also have... I believe we are going to have another update for next week. Well, this is kind of weird timing, but this week when you hear this...
Will this have already been posted by then, or...
Because we have another THAC update for next week along with this podcast. I can't remember. I can't decide if I'm going to post it Monday or Wednesday, but...
One of those days.
Just make them both on Tuesday. Make it a double whammy.
And I'll make it... It seems
You'll
like
either know what we're talking about or just wait like a day.
Wait a day, yeah. I can't decide. One of those things.
Oh, yeah, because then if we release it at the same time and people listen to the podcast first, and then we say, oh, there's also a video out right now, they're going to pause this, go to the video, and then forget to listen to the rest of this. So, yeah, we can't do that.
Right. Thanks for continuing to listen right now, future people.
But wait, what if they don't listen to the podcast the day it's released?
Well, then they're just going to be really confused, because then it'll just be like... Every time I listen to this, they keep saying that there's going to be a video up tomorrow, and there never is.
Idiots.
I listened to it yesterday. I listened to it the day before that. Still no videos.
Get tons of angry emails from that one person.
like we already get tons of emails. By tons, I mean 5.
Oh, those are the only 5 that we got, period? Or is that just the 5 ones you picked?
I think this is the 5 I picked. I think we got 6.
Yes.
Nice.
Sorry.
Wow, now that one person that emailed us knows that...
And the only reason I didn't put it in there is because it wasn't actually a question. So
Was it the Pokemon correction?
No. It was something else. But anyway, that's about all we have on updates, really. I think.
Yeah, we have a question.
The Applebee's where we worked is closing.
We're getting. I was gonna segue into that, but now you took care of that for me.
I'm sorry. I was just really excited.
Do we know any of the details about why?
I was going to say there are a few more updates in the form of questions we got, but that'll come later. After we talk about the Applebee's we worked at closed.
Is closing.
It'll be closing a week from today. Today being Friday,
Can we
I think.
go on the last day it's open, please? Please.
No. It's next. It's a week from this Sunday.
Because I don't want to plan this out and then show up and it already be closed.
Yeah.
Or not closing yet.
You know what I bet's going to happen?
What?
I bet Saturday it's going to mysteriously burn to the ground. And then...
Don't say that in case that actually happens.
Yeah.
I mean... Oh yeah, I can't pretend like I'm going to burn to the ground, because what if they actually do that? Then I'll get blamed. It's
there
like the managers of it burn to the ground for insurance payout or something.
So did you told me earlier why it was closing, didn't you? Or...
Yeah, it turns out, I was at Target the other day, and we just happened to run into 2 people that we used to work with, and they told us about it. But when we worked there, the managers that worked there were really cheap people.
They were cheap, and their bosses were even cheaper.
Yeah, so anytime there's a problem with the building itself, they wouldn't fix it, so they would still have money left over for their end of year bonuses.
We had an Alabama summer go by where they wouldn't fix the air conditioning.
Granted, it was in one of the sections. It wasn't for the entire store, but
it was basically
the entire store. It was like they referred to it as the greenhouse because there were so many windows in that area. So it was the hottest place.
And it spread to the rest of the building.
Yeah, just hot air just circulated.
It was between 80 and 85 in the building at all times with almost zero circulation.
I don't think they ever actually fixed it while I was there either.
No, they didn't.
And so I stayed
even longer than you, and they didn't fix it.
Because of that, because of not fixing the air conditioner, it sprung a leak, and the condensation would leak out of it once they did fix that part so the AC would work. There was condensation that built up and leaked onto the ceiling. Ceiling collapses because they didn't fix that, because they're such cheap people. They did not fix that, and now it's closing because of them, and that is just the best news.
That's really satisfying, because I remember getting stuck in that section several times, having to work that section. And
were you there when that happened?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because people would, they would why is it so hot in here? Is there anything you can do about it? And I basically said, I just straight up told them, it's broken and they won't fix it. Please, call the company or email them or something, and maybe you guys complaining and saying you'll never come here again will actually get it fixed.
I don't know that you guys were still there when this happened, but I don't know if it was grease trap or if it was straight up a sewer line or something broke underneath the thing. So you have all these drains in the kitchen and everything, and there's this one that was on the line where all the servers pick up their food and stuff like that, and this brownish sludge water and stuff, and it smelled like either a grease trap or just poo and everything. And they tried to get us to continue working through it because the smell didn't actually go all the way into the dining room. So the customers had no idea how bad it was. But it's this is horribly unsanitary. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. And they would try to get us to work through that until finally they're okay, fine, I guess we'll close. God,
I can just imagine them being no, it's just a little bit of rust in the water or something.
This is also the kind of restaurant that while I was there, maybe it's my fault, when I first got there, they had a 92 or something health inspection rating. After I remember the first inspection after that, they never had above an 85. I
remember when that health inspector came and was on the verge of failing them for some reason or other.
There was, at one point, they got a below 80, and that was one of those things where if you get below an 80, they come back the next month, and if you don't have above a certain threshold, or maybe it wasn't the score, it was the major infractions, if you don't fix those, they just close your business. So they were all freaking out. But the managers would try to jostifiy it. It's
oh, they don't like us.
Or, they don't like us or something. Or we didn't, do the $100 handshake to, bribe them for a thing. It's no, your kitchen is disgusting.
Yeah.
And you don't fix stuff. And they would also make excuses we have to go through more strenuous policies than, name a place or whatever.
Which is total garbage.
It's it doesn't matter because you still failed.
It's those other places you're talking about also made way better score than you did.
Yeah. And those people that walked out because you have an 85 on your thing and they can go next door to a 98 at fucking Sonic.
Yeah.
They are not the assholes.
Yeah. And even the diner that I worked at after that, a while after that, but they had some pretty gross practices too, and even their score was better than Applebee's was. It was
a 93 or something, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It's some stuff that maybe I just thought it was gross or something.
Spoiler alert: all restaurant kitchens have some gross thing.
Yeah,
and you have been fine this entire time. It's anything about, I'd say, a 93 or above, I won't bat an eye at.
Yeah.
So if it's below that, I'll be whatever, I'll still eat here. But if it's below 90, if it's 80 something, I'll probably not eat there.
Yeah.
I will say,
although I did eat at an IHOP the other day that had an 89. But that's
did
IHOP. Did
you die?
That's IHOP. Anything above a 90
what did you get?
at an IHOP is weird.
The messed up thing about those food scores is like there's no excuse for failing them because it's not like that's a secret form. Mm-hmm. You get that form every time you get a health inspection. So if you don't get a good score once, you can see exactly what you need to fix. And on top of that, before you even open up, you know exactly what you need to do to make it a passing grade.
But that would involve those managers doing work.
But if you can't do that, you just, whatever.
Anyway, that Applebee's is closing. We couldn't be happier. Yay.
Yay.
If you want to go see a piece of our history...
I hope they tear that fucker down.
I want to become if they full on do a demolition, I want to become a construction worker just for that job.
We should go there.
You don't even have to pay.
I'll show up with a sledgehammer and be like, just let me do this.
Just show up with, a cooler full of beer and some fireworks. Just be like,
yeah.
Cooler of beer, fireworks,
and a sledgehammer.
I had to change
cardboard cutout of Hulk Hogan, like one of the life-size ones like Brian used to have.
Just go over to the Rent-A-Center and steal one from them.
Those big signs that you see for the Applebee's and everything that have the deals and everything on there, I had to change that once on a ladder that wasn't tall enough in the rain while it was like windy and everything.
And I'm sure it was while you were also on shift as a server and you weren't getting tips during that, right?
It's very possible.
They made me go outside and Windex the windows while I was on like a server shift.
$2.13 an hour, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All the while the managers are sitting in the for the little front part of the restaurant just kind of laughing, just what a sucker.
I got $20 more on my bonus at the end of this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the thing outside that like you can change the what are those called?
Letters. I don't know.
I'm sure they have a specific name.
Letter sign.
If you know what the little letter signs outside that have that are outside gas stations and everything, send an email to podcast@THAC.tv.
This is the same company that the regional manager eventually got demoted to a general manager, then a floating manager, then an assistant manager, then got arrested for writing bad checks.
What does a floating manager mean?
That means you just go to store kind of thing.
And they're also full of helium.
Yeah.
They have really high pitched voices.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But yet she still managed to sound completely evil.
Yeah.
Not naming any names, but
no, her whole thing was I'm pretty sure she would qualify as a sociopath.
Yeah.
Because like she would basically sit there and get off on making one of the assistant managers just like lose his mind, being so nervous about getting fired and stuff, and she would just sit there and laugh.
Like,
and she would do
power.
the same shit to like servers and stuff like that.
Like, I can attest to that. Yeah,
genuinely evil person.
Yeah, that was oof. Let's stop talking about this.
Okay.
And just be happy that it's closing because of something they did.
I'm so happy.
And they get what they
deserve.
Like,
talk about Applebee's too much and you start ruining that sort of happy feeling. That because you start to feel less uplifted. And being uplifting is really what we're all about.
Because then you realize that those 9 months of your life that you'll never get back are gone. Or for Joseph, more than that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because you got up to, what was it like?
Key hourly thing. Like,
which means stand around acting like you're doing something and get paid a lot more than everyone else.
Yeah. Which is what all the other majors were doing too.
Yeah, no, I'm not faulting you for it. I'm saying you had a sweet job.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What was the hardest part of that job, would you say? Of being the key hourly server?
you had to work the expo sometimes, right?
I actually really liked working the expo because I was actually working. The hardest part was how long I had to be there and knowing that everyone in the building hated you. Even though it's like you would do the exact same thing in my position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't hate you just because I already knew you then.
Just going to the job in general. Like waking up in the morning and being like, I'm about to start 4 12-hour shifts in a row at Applebee's. That's what my next 4 days are going to be like. They're like, but you get 3 days off in a row, but you work 48 hours in 4 days. Which I know there are a lot of people out there that work more than that in a short amount of time, but at least
thank you, nurses.
Yeah, they can get the satisfaction of actually doing something. Whereas I was just standing there in a place that I absolutely hated, surrounded by people that didn't like me.
Nice.
Working in a place that you hated, surrounded by people that hated you.
Yeah. It was a pretty fun time in my life.
Let's get off
You
Applebee's.
should run for president someday then. Have some experience.
Then I was like, I gotta go back to school.
Oh. And now you did it. Everything is better now, I guess.
I'm just, instead of making money, I'm spending a lot.
You know,
more.
I've always kind of
spending money that's not mine.
Yeah.
I've always kind of not subscribed to the thing that parents sometimes tell their kids when they drive by a construction worker, like, see, that's why you go to school, because that's not a good thing to tell a kid. That's like, hey, don't do that thing if you want to do it because it's bad, because I say so. Yeah.
But also construction pays pretty good.
That's what I'm saying.
If I had a construction job when I moved to Tuscaloosa, I might still be doing it.
Yeah.
What I was saying was, if I heard a parent near me as a server, or as what Joseph was doing, say that, I would agree completely. Yeah. I would be like, yes, you should go to school. Don't be stuck doing this job because it's awful.
My mom was a career server for a long time. Now she's a general manager for the Books A Million chain and stuff. Got her own store and everything.
Oh, nice. Thanks,
so she's actually around something I guess... I don't know. Mom, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry if I'm getting all this wrong. Which she might. I don't know. She seemed to enjoy serving, but I was just like, she needed to be near the books and just... Oh my god, I could not imagine being a career server.
I wonder how similar owning a Books A Million is to just being a librarian.
I don't know.
I don't think you really have to deal with customers as a librarian, do you?
I don't know.
She reads a whole lot and makes a lot of book recommendations. Yeah. So
nice.
I keep meaning to get a library card at the
She does a lot more
here.
businessy stuff though.
Because that's a good place to get like movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the one where I used to live had a bunch of movies that you couldn't find in many places.
You get video games there too.
Oh yeah. That's where I first saw that movie Man on Wire. I got it from the library. That's a good movie.
I cultivated some of my early music taste thanks to the Coleman Library. I remember checking out the Beatles' Revolver, the Who's Next, Godsmack's first album.
Nice. Wait, they had
first album.
They had Godsmack at the library.
It is a library. They did.
It is a library. It is a temple of knowledge.
It is a public library. They're not to be. It's not governed by any kind of, it's public.
What an awful band.
Yeah. They were pretty sweet when I was 15,
90%
though.
of our fan base are like diehard Godsmack
fans.
Or they're too young to remember them. Yep. One of the two.
Just think of the worst band.
Was the thing.
just think of the worst band, most grating band you can think of. That's what it was.
They were, it was just one of those many early 2000s bands that all just had that same sort of singer style.
The Creed singer style.
I think I checked out.
Well, hold on, that's copyright. We can't have that.
I think
that was a short enough clip. That's fair use.
Nice. I remember checking out the Empire Strikes Back special edition on VHS 3 or 4 times.
Nice.
That was pretty cool, and it was free because it was the librrie, so
yeah.
I got to do that all the time.
I need to get on that. There's like a billboard near here. It's one of those electronic billboards.
In fact, I think...
Keeps reminding me.
I think that's how I got started with piracy, because you could check out those Godsmack CDs, but CD burners were finally a thing right about then, so...
That was during your
being a piece of shit phase.
Yeah.
Being a piece of shit phase, and also your fugitive days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before... I mean... I was
back when you went by your real name.
Not only was I pirating music, but I was pirating Godsmack's music, which is even worse.
Yeah,
oh, man.
You know what? There could be like an RIAA person listening to this right now. You will go to jail for pirating Godsmack. How does that feel?
It turns out there's no statute of limitations on that.
There's no.
I hope they don't find out all the stuff my dad downloaded on Morpheus in 1999.
Okay. It's okay. We just hashtag this as comedy. We'll play it off as parody.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Good.
It's fair use.
But if anyone's listening to this that has that kind of power, I never did that ever. It was all Tim.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ever. It's not like, it's not like everyone in high school did that at one point.
Yeah.
The only things I ever pirated was back when Kazaa was a thing.
So you guys are admitting to your crimes. I'm not saying shit.
And I ended up with a lot of viruses.
Kazaa was a cesspool of that stuff.
But I just wanted to listen to some Weird Al, man.
Yeah.
That's what I got. That's what I used my piracy
I loved the prank tracks, because there was one, it said it was a Nirvana cover of a Metallica song. It was like Enter Sandman or something. Then when you played it, it was a Wesley Willis song. The lyrics of which I will not repeat, but it was quite... vulgar and unexpected, and so it was years before I actually found out who that was, and I think it was another formative experience whenever I found out that you can't trust everything that you read or see on the internet.
I'm sorry, Weird Al. I've since still not bought any of your music. But I haven't pirated it either. So it just comes on Pandora every once in a while if I'm on one of my dumb stations.
I think they'll forgive you.
I had 2 Weird Al cassettes.
Nice.
Whichever one had Amish Paradise on it was the one that I had on the cassette. And then I remember I think the third one I had was a CD, and that was Running with Scissors, I think.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. That was the one that had Song of Begins on it, which I think I still have memorized.
I knew the lyric. I know more of the lyrics to that than I do the actual American Pie song. Okay, so let's move on to some email questions. First, Kyle asks, you mentioned how you will be Blade Runnering the Season 1 DVD, but what about Season 2?
Blade Runnering meaning remaking
or remastering. Because in the last one we said replicating, and then we just kind of said Blade Runnering after that. But there isn't really as much that we really think needs to be fixed with
it's not going to be it'll be when we run out of Season 2s that we have here.
Yeah.
Which is a while.
We have quite a few here. Once we run out, there's like 2 minor things that we'd like to fix on Season 2, which is we're going to combine them into one disc, we think.
It's not the fact that we would be lowering any content, it's just the fact that right now they're on 2 single-layer discs, and they have the option to put them on one dual-layer disc, which has the combined capacity of those 2 discs. Yeah. So we're just consolidating it onto one disc. But we wouldn't have any less. If anything, we'd probably have a little more.
If I have just a little bit left over on one dual layer, maybe. Mm-hmm. There's that, and I think there's a tiny bit of drifting in the commentary track that we would fix, but it's not anything that would justify buying it again or anything.
Yeah, one tiny little thing that was changed without us knowing about it as well that we can we can fix.
Yeah, but I mean,
put back in there.
That is literally a second more worth of content,
right?
If that.
So it's not going to be as big of a deal to us. For, we have to completely redo all of this. Yeah. It'll just be...
Not that we're doing that with the Season 1 DVD either. Yeah. It's just we're adding some things to that. We're not adding anything besides that half second of content.
Which we could even put on YouTube if we really wanted. So
yeah. That's what we're doing with that. Mm-hmm. We're not Blade Runnering it like we are doing the Season 1. I've never seen Blade Runner. I think I said that in the last podcast.
You should. But... I have it on Blu-ray now. You want to borrow it?
We should have a movie night with RoboCop.
Yeah.
Is Blade Runner a movie that fucking rules like RoboCop, or is it just good?
It's kind of both. I think it started off as just a movie that fucking rules, and then over time it became seen as one that's just straight up good.
Okay.
Mostly because he keeps fixing it over the years.
Uh-huh.
Tim and I can come over and drink beer on your couch and then cuddle.
Yeah.
Like with RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cuddle with RoboCop.
Yeah.
Sounds fun. Next question. Ben asks or says, I've been rewatching your commentary for seasons 1 and 2 of Marble Hornets and really enjoying them. I was thinking, do you plan on doing a retrospective type video on the show after it's complete? Even from an outside perspective, it seems like it's been quite a journey, and I'd really like to hear your thoughts on how it all went.
I kind of feel
behind the Hornets.
I kind of feel like the season 3 commentary will be that.
The season 3 commentary.
It's going to be long enough to where
we'll have plenty of time for looking deep into our souls and realizing all of our mistakes in life.
Since it won't be as big of an issue with worrying about spoiling future things, like there's this stuff we can't talk about in season 2 because we're still have to talk about it in season 3, but that won't have as much of an issue. So
we can kind of say whatever we want.
Yeah, and then since we are doing a new commentary for season 1, we'll
probably have a little bit of that in it.
That will be like a retrospective, just because
hindsight is 2020, pretty much.
It was 4 to 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's.
Hope we have enough stuff to talk about on that.
Today, what's today? Friday? Today is to the day the 4-year anniversary of posting the last entry in season 1.
Wow.
Whoa.
Weird.
So the entirety of season 1 is 4 years old now.
Not that bad.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like that long ago, but at the same time, it really does.
I still remember shooting 26.
Yeah.
Very vividly.
Well, I don't remember that because I wasn't there, but
yeah.
I remember shooting the stuff that
actually went pretty well.
It went very well.
Yeah.
I think was typing on the computer just like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song or something like that.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool. Just ruin the magic. We thought you were actually working on those business graphs.
Yep.
Weren't there business graphs on the...
Yeah, I was doing it in Excel.
Okay, yeah.
Or whatever the Apple equivalent is.
Yeah.
Or what is
the Apple equivalent? Doesn't Apple already have... Don't they have Excel Mac versions and stuff?
I have no idea.
I think that
Excel
might be
is a Microsoft Office thing. So.
I know, but I'm pretty sure you can get a Mac version of Office on there.
I don't know.
Which is weird.
I don't know nothing about none of them Apple computers.
You know, with all the messages we get about, like, people talk about, like, the unanswered questions in the show, things that have yet to be addressed. I think that might be the biggest unanswered question is just what was Alex working on that laptop that day? I like to think, was he working on business, or was he maybe working on... Maybe he was still working on his script after all those years, like just
he put that
fine-tuning
behind
it.
him, man.
No, he was fine-tuning for the return of his movie. It's kind of like how Eraserhead was shot over like 4 years or something.
Oh yeah. Do you think he would have been working on the same film, or do you think he'd be working on a new one, possibly a sequel?
He would absolutely be working on the same film.
But this time he was doing it for a stage play rather than
writing a musical for it,
or something like that.
Or he would be writing a sequel to the movie he never finished, which would also be something he would do.
He was adapting it into a novel.
A novelization for a movie that never happened.
Yeah, or a novella, a serialized novel or something.
I think I know some extended universe stuff we can do now. Yeah. Keep an eye on Amazon, everyone.
Yes.
You'll be seeing Alex Crayley's 120-page novella of Marble Hornets novelization.
Now, would that be Kindle only, or would we need to launch another Kickstarter for that?
No.
To actually physically print it?
We can make
we'll
it to
do it
where...
on the Amazon stores. Charge like $3 for each one.
And make $3.
We should
buy it.
Yeah.
We should just ghost write some, I don't know, some Marble Hornets erotica or something.
Yeah. Wait, what are those?
Who says we haven't already?
What are those books called? The trashy romance novels? It's like a woman's name.
I know what you're talking about. Like the Harlequin romance? Or
Harlequin. I was thinking it was some person's name. Was that? Well, we do some of those. Some Harlequin romance novels, which has its own wall in Barnes & Noble here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's hard to... Or it's easy to miss because it's kind of off in the corner, but it's like an entire rack just full of those books.
I mean, there's already been... I've seen a few published eroticas based on Marble Hornets on Amazon that were available for a couple bucks each.
Slenderbone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That had...
Alexa, I think, was
Alexa, yeah.
It's not available anymore,
Tina, I don't think it's around anymore, which is...
I'm sure it exists. I'm sure it's floating around somewhere.
We like to encourage creativity, but I mean,
the author was a goon.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard if you're able to crank material out like that on a fairly regular basis, like some of those people do, it does pay decently well.
I'm sure it does with something like Harlequin, because there's always going to be a market for those trashy romance novels.
Well, I mean, especially because on Amazon Kindle, I don't think it costs anything to self-publish on there. So you can, or like it's
I don't
pretty.
think it does.
It's pretty easy to self-publish on there at least.
I think it has something to do with the Amazon storage thing that you pay for your whatever bandwidth is used or whatever. Right. I think it has something to do with that, but I'm not positive. If you know the answer to that, send an email to podcast@THAC.TV explaining it to us. Thanks, Amazon.
Also, send us a copy of your Harlequin novel.
But it costs nothing to put on the store since it's just a Kindle thing, so you don't have to have anything printed, and you just put it up there, charge like $3 a pop for it, and decent stream of money over time, I guess. If you focus solely on quantity, which
is what they are all about.
Yeah. That's literally what they're for.
Which is why they have an entire wall for them at the Barnes Noble here.
Yeah.
I always notice them because they're near the graphic novel section, which I always wander through.
Tim and the sexy fireman.
Yes.
I'm just imagining you in a sexy fireman outfit now. It's very arousing.
In the sexy fireman? What?
No, in the sexy fireman outfit. Oh. Like he's wearing like the suspenders, but there's no undershirt. So it's just like,
and there's a fire going on behind him.
A fire going on behind him, but he's carrying a baby, but he has like a really hairy chest.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always go usually like straight to the graphic novel section whenever I do go to Barnes & Noble.
Nerd.
But I don't know why, because I don't really read comics, I just sort of go in there and I'm just like, oh, that's a lot of shiny covers they got in there today, and then just leave.
I'll be like, I'll walk in there and I'll be like, man, I should really finish The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And then I'll walk away.
Or like, oh, I've heard I should read that from some lists on the internet that I saw one time. Maybe I'll buy it next time.
Oh, there's another Scott Pilgrim in color coming out. I should reread those, but I don't want to buy the in color ones because I already have the black and white ones.
But I've only ever read like 5 graphic novels in my entire
one day.
life, and so it's not. But I still like that's the first place I always go, and I don't know why because I never get them. I read all of Sin City in high school after the movie came out.
Probably Watchmen.
Watchmen, yeah. I think I read From Hell I read V for Vendetta, and I think I started reading From Hell or something like that.
Was it you yesterday that's saying you wanted to read Sandman, or you had read Sandman?
I'd read Volume 1 of Sandman, and never got any further than that.
You read Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum,
that was
yeah.
a good one.
Like 2 pages of a Deadpool comic one time.
That was a good. Its original run was really good.
Of Deadpool?
Yeah.
I don't think I may just not be the target audience then.
I don't think I'm the target audience for Deadpool anymore.
Yeah.
I saw a playthrough of the game that came out, and I was like, this just doesn't seem very good.
It is a little bit too self-aware now.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything since it came out as like the Deadpool and Cable comics or whatever.
Yeah.
But when it was just Deadpool by itself, granted I was in high school, I haven't read anything since then, so maybe my tastes have changed. But I remember liking it a lot in high school.
I haven't read that many graphic novel things. I'm trying to get on. I've read like all the ones that you're supposed to read. Like I've read Watchmen. I've read like
Dark Knight Returns.
Yep. I've read Blankets. I've read Scott Pilgrim.
Never did read Blankets.
I don't know
good.
that Scott Pilgrim is in the list of things you're supposed to read.
Popular things.
Yeah.
Things that if someone identifies as reading lots of graphic novels, they've probably read.
Yeah.
I saw the movie and I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to go, I should read the books that this was based on too.
It's the jokes flow way better in print form.
Yeah.
I remember sitting on the couch one day when I was off work and just being like, Troy, can I just borrow those and get this out of the way? Because I'd been playing the PS3 game with our roommate Ellis a lot, and I was like, fine, I'll just read this so I actually know what's going on. And I read all of them in one day, and I can't remember if it was you or Ellis that would get really upset when I was just like, it's Canadian anime.
I think it was both of us, because we were like, I don't know if I would qualify that as it wasn't, I think you said like it was Canadian manga or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, I don't know about that. I think it would just be more inspired by it. But then it's like, well, it does have that very specific look to it.
Yeah, you can't argue that there's not a definite manga inspiration there.
Well, mostly because whenever they turn to the side, they have those really pointy noses.
Yeah.
But it's good. I would recommend people reading it.
It was an enjoyable read. I don't know that I would... I don't have any desire to like reread it or anything.
Whenever a new one came out, I think I started on the second one, so I read the first and second one back to back, and then every time a new one came out and I got it in the mail, I would read from the beginning again. Yeah. So I guess I read through it like 5 times.
Nice.
I
think I did that with Harry Potter at least a couple of times. I don't know if I did it for every new one that came out.
That'd be significantly more time consuming.
I've read all of the Harry Potters about 3 times through.
Because I think I first started reading them when the 3rd one came out. Because there was a kid that down the street from me, and he, I guess, one of the early adopters because he was already a fan of it when the second one came out, and he got it for his birthday, and he was like, you should really read these. And I was like, I'll get around to it someday, which is in like 4th grade, so it's like, I've got all the time in the world. And then I finally pulled the trigger on it on one of those Scholastic book orders, and they finally had that in there.
So you made that commitment?
Yep. I finally made that commitment with my parents' money. And the first like 3 or 4 I've probably read like 4 or 5 times each, but then everything after that like was just once. Like the last one I've only read once, but
it was kind of a blur after that.
Yeah, Chamber of Secrets was the one. I don't know what it was about that one, but that one was my favorite. I reread that one the most by far.
Yeah, that was the one that I didn't realize they were a book series, and that's what I was told to read by my friend, so I got that first, which is weird.
I started reading them when the 4th one had just come out, and
book or in the
book,
movie? Okay.
The book. And I read the first and second one, and the friend that I was borrowing the books from, I was reading them a lot faster than his other friend that had started borrowing them. So he still had the third one, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll skip to the fourth. So I didn't actually read the third one until after I had read the fourth one.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of references to the third one and the fourth one.
Honestly, I don't know. I think because of that, I've never really liked the third one that much. Even though it introduces like Sirius and all that stuff, I just never really liked it that much.
Can't be as bad as the garbage that's Half-Blood Prince.
I liked the Half-Blood Prince a lot.
I'm just going by the movie.
Oh.
I enjoyed the movie because
I hate the movie series.
Well, see, I thought the movie was all right, and the reason was I'd read the book a long time before that, so I knew just enough to already kind of know what was going on, but not enough to be angry at them leaving things out and changing things, because I couldn't remember it that well, but I was still able to keep up with it because I knew what was supposed to be happening.
I didn't even care about the stuff they changed in the movie series. I just never liked the movies, period.
I liked the movies, I just hated Half-Blood Prince. It was so bad.
The first three were awesome for me. And then
the fourth was the best, I think.
I think the fourth one was the first one that didn't have John Williams doing the score, and it kind of suffered for that, because I just remember the Voldemort coming to life thing at the end of it not being nearly as like big and cool as it could have been, but maybe that's just me.
There's also the really weird dance part with the for real band playing.
Oh yeah, it's like I think it's Jarvis Cocker from Pulp, and then three of the guys from Radiohead. Yeah. It's like Radiohead plus Jarvis Cocker, which is kind of an odd, like, why them? But then again, wasn't, like, Sigur Rós in the most recent episode of Game of Thrones or something?
Yeah, they were singing a Reigns of Castamere rendition. It was only for a second.
Oh. Were they the wedding band or something like that?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I was like, I think that singer sounds kind of familiar.
Oh, so you've seen that episode?
Yeah.
It was a pretty funny moment where they just kind of left. Yeah. Like, okay, great, go away. I like that. That was funny. Let's not talk about Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I don't want to accidentally spoil anything.
I've only seen 3 episodes, even though I've read, the first season worth a book.
What is our next email?
Next email from Domino says,
"Hi Domino's, I like your pizza.
Tim, do you still watch wrestling? If so, what is your response to the Undertaker's streak being over?"
This is all you.
I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. I watched it back in 7th through 9th grade, so probably like 2001 through 2003 or 2004. But I still kind of have a soft spot for it. I just don't really watch it anymore because I kind of got burned out on all of the storylines and stuff that were going on at the time, and I just never really could get back into it. As far as the whole Undertaker streak being over, that being for you all that probably don't watch wrestling, it's WrestleMania is like the WWE's version of like it's their Super Bowl basically.
Yeah.
And the Undertaker's thing is that he has been at every WrestleMania since like 1993 and has won every match that he's been in. And this year he finally lost to a guy named Brock Lesnar, who, of all the people that they could have had him lose to, I can't think of one that I would have hated more than that. Because I remember his debut. I remember the very first night that he appeared on TV.
Oh, it's a night that'll live in infamy.
Yeah. And, like, just from the moment I saw him, I just hated his stupid face, his disproportionately small head, and now he has that stupid sword tattoo on his chest, which is even worse.
I thought it was like a trench knife or something.
Whatever, it's still really lame. It just, I don't know, I've never liked him.
I have the same tattoo.
And then... And just of all people, because I always thought Undertaker was really awesome after the fact. Because what sort of happened was that in the 90s, it's like late 90s, early 2000s, there are all this really weird cast of characters that these wrestling shows had. You know, they had like all the weirdos and masks and all these really... And then something happened around 2003 or 4 or so where like they kind of stopped doing that and just had like... just
dudes in jean shorts,
generic beefy dudes, and it just wasn't really fun to watch anymore.
A bunch
so
of John Cena's fighting each other.
Well, John Cena's not as
he wears jean shorts. He wears jorts.
John Cena was one of the cooler ones, though. He actually has like a character. I'm just talking about like there's like 3 or 4 big ones. It was like
The Rock,
Randy Orton, and Batista, and all those guys that are like their thing is just being really big in Speedos. That's pretty much all that is to their character.
And Ultimate Warrior was just insane.
They ain't no.
Yeah, the days of characters like Ultimate Warrior
and Sting.
passed. And Sting.
Sting was the one with like the kiss paint on, right?
Yeah.
And the scorpion pants.
Yeah.
Scorpion pants.
And then he went evil.
Yeah. Wait.
And he went from like the neon green pants to black.
Yeah, well, he saw...
He joined the NWO.
No, he watched that movie The Crow and was like, hey, that's a good idea.
Yeah. It was basically The Crow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scorpion pants is in like Mortal Kombat green Scorpion.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like he's walking around with pants and like a little fake scorpion tail on the back of him.
No.
That would be awesome.
That would have been even better. No, they had like a design of a scorpion.
I was going to say that would definitely match his name then if he had a stinger on him. now I'm just imagining guys in like bee costumes fighting each other.
Because my favorite wrestler back then was Mick Foley's persona, Mankind, who was just a weird guy in black tights.
He had the handle mask, didn't he?
And like a wrinkly white dress shirt and a tie with like a weird sort of mask that was made of belts, and then a sock puppet that he would choke people with. And like all of his promos were always really goofy, and like they just kind of quit having people like that, and the storylines just got boring, really.
Was that time around when we would be watching, around when you were watching wrestling, kind of around that time? Was Big Show around then?
Oh yeah,
because I feel like the short amount of time that I watched wrestling, I liked Big Show.
Big Show is probably one of the funniest people that they've ever had.
That's
on
probably
the
that's probably the guy I liked. Then.
About the time I remember
him and Mankind, and then people like The Rock. Because The Rock was really awesome to watch.
I remember Big Show had like beef with Hulk Hogan or something when I was in like 4th grade, I think. Maybe even before that or something, and it was like SummerSlam or something, and he was like, I'm gonna chokehold Hulk Hogan, and then get this, Hulk Hogan used his move against him and won. What? And I was like, what? And then I stopped watching wrestling. Because I was like, this will literally never get better for me.
Yeah. I mean, like
that was my thought process as a 4th grader. I like Pokemon.
But they always had some really like over the top, like wacky ass storylines that like Stone Cold Steve Austin breaking into the arena with a beer truck and driving it in there, and then spraying down Vince McMahon, the president of the WWE, with a beer hose.
All right.
That was one of the more famous moments, I think. They had some really bizarre storyline, but that's just kind of what made it funny. Like, that's what made it fun to watch. And when I stopped watching was whenever they just
got away
did
from that.
less of that stuff. Like,
hey, I'm angry at you.
They'd have matches with types like Buried Alive, which is they literally had like a pile of dirt in one part of the arena, and the loser was the one who literally got tossed in the hole and buried alive. Or
was their character considered dead then, or was that just a thing that happened? Okay.
Literal murder match.
They would have
ones... No, I don't mean literal murder. I mean, like, would that character never
No, I was saying they should just have that. Blood sport.
Play for keeps.
I mean, I'm sure they had people like Undertaker losing those matches just so he could do the dramatic punching the hand over the dirt thing.
Yeah.
I remember they would have matches like... They would have kiss my ass matches every once in a while, where if you lost, you had to kiss Vince McMahon's ass, right in front of the crowd and everything. But yeah, they sort of got less wacky, and that's when I stopped watching. But I hear that it seems like they're sort of starting to get that back.
I think that was when you stopped watching. Wasn't that around the time when they started having some real trouble and stuff, like they might go off the air or something, like they were losing people watching after that?
One of the reasons was because they had their 2 shows. There was Monday Night Raw and Thursday Night SmackDown, and SmackDown came on UPN, which I didn't get. and they did this thing where they were gonna have separate brands.
Yeah,
so they had
they
had like a roster where they drafted people into the brands for each show, which meant that half of the people that I liked went over to this channel that I didn't get. So like there half of these people I wasn't getting to see anymore. So
tragedy.
Yeah, and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, Undertaker's streak thing was going to end eventually, but it sucks that he lost it to someone so boring and awful.
It's just weird that
I'm a big slab of meat. Urgh!
Everyone's treating it like it's this big upset or whatever, but it's like, no, it's just a dude in a writing room was like, you know what would be cool?
Yeah.
Is if this happened.
Yeah.
I would write for wrestling.
Oh, I would too.
That'd be awesome.
I'm not saying, oh, it's all fake, you shouldn't like it. I'm saying, like, it's not like a football team that sucks beating, like, actually sucks beating a really good football team. It's just like, no, this is what someone decided would happen.
Yeah.
I know.
It's not like a talent thing,
Yeah,
which is fine. That's fine.
Because you don't watch it in the same way that you would watch something like a football match or something, because it's like the athleticism in the ring itself is real. They really are throwing each other around and all that kind of stuff. Like, the moves do hurt, and they do have to train a lot for that.
I love the YouTube clips of the, like, catching them being like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Everything just talking to each other in the ring while fighting.
And, like, the outcomes are preordained, but they're allowed to bounce around within that framework a lot.
Yeah.
But they're also, so the stuff that was in between the matches is where all sort of, like, the soap opera-esque plots happen.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would be watching it for.
I wasn't mean to get us into this whole is it real, is it fake thing. I was just saying, all this talk about the wacky storylines, I want to be a wrestling writer now.
I'm not saying by any means that it's not good because of that. I'm saying that's why it's good. That's awesome. It's basically a really, really weird improv theater.
It kind of is, yeah. Because all of those
guerrilla theater was like that here.
Let's not get into that.
Because all the best like WWE stars are the ones who are also good on the microphone. Like, you can have somebody who's an awesome athlete, but just gets really boring whenever he hops up on there. In fact, apparently I saw, because the wrestler Triple H is sort of like one of the big managers of the Monday Night Raw thing now, and apparently he's pushing for. A lot of those promos were straight up scripted, and he's sort of putting an end to that. And he's coaching these guys to like work with bullet points and sort of
be ridiculous,
develop more of a character. Because he was saying that's why a lot of those characters weren't working that well, is because these wrestlers, they're not like trained actors or anything, so they're trying to. Say material that other people wrote for them, but now he's trying to get them to sort of embrace their own characters and sort of come up with their own stuff.
Let's go be
wrestlers. Maybe that'll produce some interesting changes lately. I don't know.
Let's go wrestle.
Let's go.
I kind of want to get into it again, honestly. Like, especially now that they had that WWE Network thing, where it's like $10 a month, where you can watch like every pay-per-view.
I never realized how expensive wrestling was.
Oh yeah,
like getting WrestleMania was like $50.
Yeah, it's super
crazy.
expensive. I had one of the WrestleManias on DVD. It was 18, which was the one that was the big one. Whenever I just to give you an idea, 18 was whenever I was watching it. They just did 30 this year, so it's been a while.
Almost twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Hulk Hogan versus The Rock was the big one that year.
Oh, wow.
Who won?
I'm pretty sure The Rock won that one, but it was close.
My childhood hero.
They had
everyone's childhood hero in some way,
because it was
Hulkamania ran wild on me.
Well, it was right after the WWE like bought WCW or whatever, and so they brought the 3 original NWO guys back and have like the little storyline wrap up there.
WCW and WWE were always the same thing. They were just called themselves differently because
no, WCW and WWE were 2 separate companies. They were feuding and things like that. That's why the NWO started, because it was supposed to be 3 guys who came over from WWE trying to sabotage WCW.
Were they actually separate companies, or were they just like?
They were definitely separate companies. They were feuding because...
It's like a comic book, man. I can't keep this canon
It is.
straight.
Well, see, because Ted Turner owned WCW, and him and Vince McMahon had a long-standing feud because I think like Vince
They lost.
owned WCW at one point and sold it because it wasn't working very well, and then it was working very well, and they were really warring against one another.
It's really weird that they would have... Well, I guess they weren't actual clashes with each other, but it's like, we're going to have... It's like saying, I challenge you to this baseball game that already has the winner written out for it. That's really weird that you would, like, fight, but you would have someone decide who wins before it happens.
What do you mean?
Oh.
Like, just for wrestling in general?
Yeah, for wrestling in general. I'm saying, like, that would be like challenging someone to a baseball game, and then,
I don't
like...
think the WCW and WWE actually ever had their wrestlers match off, though.
They didn't. They were separate rosters.
Oh, that's what I thought you were saying.
No, it was two guys from WWE. It was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were the two guys. And, like, when their contract expired with WWE, they went over to WCW, and they sort of played it off like they were coming to sabotage the show, and that's sort of like...
I thought you were saying there's some interaction with
And they recruited Hollywood or they recruited Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
And he became Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah, so that was...
And he wore black, and it was even cooler.
That WrestleMania that I had, it was... Scott Hall versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was pretty awesome.
I just want to point out to anyone who's listening, Joseph just kind of got down from his chair, looking up at Tim like it's story time.
Yeah.
He's getting really excited.
I mean, it was...
Let's have wrestling nights. Let's watch some WWE.
In a way, it is kind of...
Wait, who is the WWF?
They're the same. WWF had to change to WWE because they were having like court battles with the World Wildlife Fund for years over the use of WWF, and they finally lost. And it's really annoying because they have to go back through all of their archival footage and like blur out every WWF logo, which sucks because they're on the turnbuckle like covers on the ring in every single match. They have to blur those out. Whenever someone says WWF, they have to, like, censor the F. Like, I've heard them go, I've been working for the WW for 10 years. Like, they have to go and do that for everything. But they changed over right around the same time, like, I was watching that. I remember when that happened.
Let's just buy WWE Network with the company card.
Okay.
And then we can just have wrestling nights.
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It really is kind of like comic books in a way. Like, there's just these long, drawn-out storylines and feuds that have been going on for decades, and it's impossible to keep up with. And, like...
Well, I mean, it's like what Martin said.
Or
Little Kribo said about DBZ being...
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z being like a animated version of pro wrestling. And that's
pretty much it.
Kind of, Or WWE is like a live-action Dragon Ball Z, whichever one you prefer.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some fun and wacky, colorful characters and stuff. And
thanks for the question, Domino. You set Tim off on a tangent.
I think
45 minutes.
Thanks, Domino. You might have just spurred me on to pay for the WWE Network. Next question. That name again. Adaminator asks, what say you to a Google Glass that looks like a scouter from Dragon Ball Z?
I'd pay $1,500 for that.
I don't know if I'd pay $1,500 for that.
Shut up. Yes, you would.
Well, if it shows everyone's power level, then
Of course it would.
I would immediately look in a mirror.
That's...
see what mine is.
And then it would just sort of like bounce the signal back and forth until it exploded.
What would happen if a scouter did that? Like, what if you looked in the mirror for the scouter? Would you read your own power level, or would you read the mirror's power level?
You know, whenever Google Glass does become pretty, ubiquitous and sort of everywhere...
You say when, I say if.
I say when, if not Google Glass itself, something like
something similar.
Something Apple
something that has the basic idea behind it. Whenever that comes regular, though, we already have all of that sort of augmented reality kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure one of the very first apps that will come out for it is someone will do something that just sort of like every time it sees like the outline of a person, it'll highlight and list a power level next to them.
When you say that, you say that you want that. I want the Terminator vision.
Like
with the red,
like
it'll highlight someone.
Except higher resolution than that.
I don't know. I'd want it to be classic.
84 resolution. Or the RoboCop Retina display.
That too.
Where you actually get like the boot up sequence and everything like that.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty neat.
That'd be pretty cool. Well, I think we already talked about this last week, didn't we? About what our opinions on Google Glass is.
We talked about Google Glass itself, but we never really talked about sort of stupid pop culture related variations of Google Glass, like we are now with the RoboCop and the Dragon Ball.
I'm just imagining someone like making an Etsy store that has a like they make custom shells for your Google Glass or your your Apple Eye or whatever.
See, they make the RoboCop version of Google Glass,
and it just goes over your head.
It's straight up just the full helmet.
Yeah,
like
I would wear
that. Not the suit though, like just the helmet. It's it's
and you can fit 2 Google Glass into it. And
yeah. Well, see, it's sort of like, one of the things that people always shit on, like, fedoras and stuff for is, people wearing them with things that don't match and stuff. Yeah. So that would be even better / worse because you just have, like, this full, like, to scale film accurate RoboCop helmet and then, like, a Hawaiian shirt and Bermuda shorts or something.
Or you're just in a business meeting and they're like, and here for the... oh yeah, Johnson's gonna have a presentation for us. He should be here any minute. And then the person just walks in wearing their like sweet tailored suit with a tie and everything, but they have a RoboCop helmet on. And
you laugh, but then they press a button and it makes the projection.
Yeah, he's like, and he also has a voice modulator on it to where it sounds like Peter Weller talking. So it's like, you can see here our projected earnings for financial year 2014.
It actually has Peter Willard's face as well.
Yeah, it's just like a straight up mask that goes over your entire head. And like, it's in the future and people have seen this, so there's like, that guy must like RoboCop. I respect that.
Yeah.
Or it's a really hilarious, awkward thing where they're just like, what is his problem?
Or everyone is wearing it.
I like to think we have a future where that will be okay.
Or they make them, but it's the new RoboCop helmet from the new movie.
Oh,
sorry, buddy. That's the only one they make.
No.
There's like one guy like in a cellar in Texas, like just in some dank basement
in a Peter Weller cellar.
That Peter Weller cellar that does those custom jobs where he takes them apart and makes them the old RoboCop, but he's the only one that does those custom jobs, and he charges like $50,000 each.
Man, I would save up for that in an instant. Or not, I would start saving up for that in an instant.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
You would save up for that in about 50,000 instances.
Yeah.
When you got your Etsy custom glasses for Scouters, though, which color Scouter would you get?
They were green and blue, right?
I thought they had some red and oranges.
Oh yeah, they had some pink ones because I remember like the Ginyu Force and Frieza. Yeah, Frieza had a purple one.
I think it was basically their lightsabers.
Yeah. So
what color Scouter would you go with? I don't know.
I would probably go with the green one just because I like the classic old green style things. But, like I remember when I had my a few cell phones ago, I had a Palm Centro back when Palm made cell phones.
Oh,
and
I didn't know they ever made cell phones.
Yeah. The Palm Trio, the Centro, they had the Palm Pre, which was their last one that kind of, you probably know it if you saw it. I had the Palm Centro, which was one that came before the Palm Pre, which was the last one they ever made. Anyway, they had color schemes on it, and they had a classic green color scheme that was like the black and neon green that old, like, Apple computers had. Yeah. It looked like a Pit-Boy. I had that one. That's the one I used. Neat. I was very proud of that. So I'd probably go with that color.
I mean, I still use, like, Windows Classic layout on Windows 7 and stuff like that, but that's not nearly as cool because Windows 95 doesn't look nearly as cool as that does, the monochrome stuff.
Yeah. Well,
granted, the only reason I use it is just because all of Windows 7's sort of shiny, half see-through windows are like massive resource hogs, so I just turned it all off.
Are they?
Yeah, man. Especially Arrow.
Yeah. Huh. I kept having a bunch of my stuff run really slowly, and one of the things that everyone said was just turn Arrow off, so I did, and haven't had any problems after that.
I have mine turned off on mine, I just now realized that. There's no clear see-through stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not really necessary anyway.
It's not really necessary, and I don't really think it looks that good either. So.
Yeah, I just like...
It looks the same as it does without it on, except it's kind of translucent.
I mean, neat. I would be perfectly fine with it still looking like Windows 95.
I mean, they have like a classic template you can choose that has like the old square start button and everything.
Not Windows 8.
Start button.
Not Windows 8.
Oh yeah, 8 doesn't, but I mean, you can get it on your PC.
I think so.
Least.
Yeah. I've kind of gotten used to Windows 7 now. so it doesn't really bother me.
It's nice and better than Vista.
So making it look like Windows 95 isn't going to make it work like Windows 95. So
it better not work like Windows 95.
Well, it might. It doesn't have the same charm as Windows 95 did.
Turn my resolution down low enough and it will.
Well, I mean, like, I'm the kind of person, for some reason, I have very nostalgic thoughts about Windows 95 and that all of my cell phone sounds are Windows 95 sounds, stuff like that. So I wish I could change the startup noise for my phone so it could make the do.
So you need to make a install a virtual machine on your computer, install Windows 95 on that,
so
and
I can hate it.
So you can bust out like Lego Island and stuff, and just play it on your Windows 95 virtual machine.
Yeah, Lego Island is somewhere at my mom's house still. I don't know where it is.
See, my computer that my parents had when I was a kid was so crappy that whenever I tried to play Lego Island, it wasn't really, like, the graphics weren't smooth or anything. It was more like a series of screenshots.
So it's
kind of like mist or something. Yeah. And then Troy, like, 2 weeks ago maybe, shows me, like, he pulls up a video of Lego Island, and it's, like, fully animated and stuff, and I was just like, holy shit, it looked like that the whole time.
I think mine, on the computer that I use it on that had Windows 95, I would say it probably ran at about 12 frames per second, so I wasn't that far behind you.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the single digits like yours sounds.
Yeah, mine was definitely in the 1 or 2 frames per second, I would say. Which made the skateboarding interesting, to say the least.
Skateboarding was no different from the car driving.
Yeah, and the car driving wasn't very fun either.
I was going to say, like, all of the vehicles controlled exactly the same, except I think the race car might have gone a little bit faster, but you couldn't drive the race car around the island.
Is there a place to legally acquire that game now? Because I really want to try it again.
eBay.
But
I've done a search for it on eBay before, and they're still there.
How much are they usually? Like
$2-3.
Good. Sweet. I know what I'm going to do next week. Bust out that old Lego Island.
I think it's somewhere between like $2 and $10. It's not over that, though.
Mm-hmm. I need to find that one and jumpstart 4th grade, which was the haunted island where this evil witch kidnaps all your friends and turns them into monsters. And
you save them by solving math problems?
Yes, and you gradually you don't really beat the game until you've rescued all the kids. And I rescued all but like 2 of them, and then like our computer like crashed.
Oh no.
And when my dad got a new one, it didn't carry over any of my data, and then it wouldn't play on the new computer.
Oh no.
So I never found out what happens when you rescue all the kids.
Did I ever tell you that this was a while ago now, but when I was working in that steel mill I talk about, I didn't really work with anyone, so I just I would think about really weird things when I was just working by myself. Like, I would just be, painting a rail or something, and I would have one of the songs from a Goofy movie stuck in my head. Something like that. Or I would think about, like, episodes of Doug that I watched. Like, oh, that was a weird episode. I would think about those things. But for some reason, one day I remember thinking about Math Munchers, and
good game.
How I had it wasn't the Mac Math Munchers that was like really boxy. It was a updated version that was on Windows 95 that was kind of cartoon animated.
Ooh. I remember Math Munchers in like 2nd grade, and
I played that
Apple
too.
IIe.
On the designated computer time.
And then you eat it, go.
Yep.
But anyway, I had the updated version, which is kind of like Math Blasters, which was like kind of the animated thing.
Math Blaster was awesome.
And there was this thing whenever you would start, it was kind of set up like some kind of sporting event, and you would have like the color commentators would talk. But I think I might have told you about this. I can't remember. But they were potatoes.
What?
There was 2 potatoes. Their name was Spud Russet and Ruby Tubert or something, and they were your commentators.
Oh my god.
I did not get that until I was working in that steel mill. I was painting a rail or welding something and just stopped and went, oh my god. That was the joke. I could never figure out what a commentator was.
So, like, put yourself in the shoes of, like...
You're doing math, not spelling.
So, like, imagine for a second, like, put yourself in the shoes of, like a 50-year-old... factory worker and who's been working there for like 30 years or something like that, and he's like had a long day. It's like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. He's dragging something along, and he looks up and there's just like this high school kid who's just kind of staring off into space.
I wasn't in high school. It was
Okay.
It was the summer after my freshman year of college.
So there's this 19, 20-year-old kid just kind of standing there staring off into space, and you look over and you go, "What's wrong, boy?" And he just looks over and he just kind of goes, "Commentators."
I get it. And then I just walk away, and then I just drive away on my forklift.
On your forklift, yeah. You really need to get that renewed so we can use that. I really think.
Yeah, I'm sure forklifts cost nothing.
Yeah. We can rent one.
Oh yeah, you can just go like those things where you get those little miniature backhoes and stuff.
I really think that the trajectory that Marble Hornets took would have been far different if you'd had that forklift operating license the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I think it might have been expired even when we started Marble Hornets, or it was close to being expired. I think they're a yearly thing. If you know how long forklift licenses last, send an email to podcast@THAC.tv and tell us about it.
But be sure it is for the state of Alabama. We need to know that specifically because it could be different in California or Alaska or wherever.
I was Google for us.
I was forklift certified, and I was there's 3 certifications I had. It was forklift, fall reduction something where like if you were up high on something you had to clip the little D-ring or whatever onto the little thing, so if you fell it was not very hard to get certified because it was like clip this thing on here and clip it on yourself.
Good job.
I had to learn how to put the harness on, that was it. And then it was like the indoor crane certification where like anytime you're in a warehouse you see the crane that's like up on the ceiling.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was my favorite thing. I got to use that the most because I had like my own little work desk and everything, and I had to raise these little rollers and degrease them and paint them and stuff, and they were so heavy you had to use that thing. And you didn't operate it by left, right, up, and down. You operate it by north, south, east, west. I knew my directions when I was standing in that one specific place, which is funny because I have a terrible sense of direction.
I've only ever had certifications for being like an organ donor. That's about the extent of my certification.
I've got that too. You're not very cool.
I mean, they put it on your driver's license if you like. Yep. That's all you have to do is
you check a box.
Yeah.
I didn't have to fill out any paperwork when I got my license replaced. They just asked, "Are you an organ donor?" I said yes, and they're like, "Okay." No paperwork at all.
I said yes to it because it was like getting an achievement on my license. I had like a little emblem on it. Yeah. Pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
Also, I'll be dead. I don't need them anymore.
I'm not using them, so...
Yeah, I don't need them anymore. Whatever.
One of these days, man.
One of these days, someone will have my eyes.
Ooh.
Cool.
If they still work by then, you never know.
If they're not bionic eyes.
To
bring it full circle, if they're not the updated Google Glass or the updated eyes.
So like the
I think
organ
Futurama did a thing with that.
The organ donor thing, I'm assuming, is not just for like replacements for other people. I'm sure it's for like research and stuff too, right? Like it's not because I would imagine.
I feel like you have to sign something to donate your body to science, though.
I would imagine being like if you die at age like 90 and you say you're an organ donor, they would probably be like, we can't use any of this because it's way too old. Like, who wants 90-year-old eyes? Like, they don't even fucking work.
Somebody that is about to die.
Someone who's 95. Man, these are really young eyes compared to what I got.
Because I remember in high school, we had the... It wasn't like a bodies exhibit thing like they have at museums, but it was basically people, like science researchers that had cadavers. Mm-hmm. And so they brought, not a cadaver, but pieces of cadavers. Like, I got to see an enlarged heart, had a pacemaker hanging out of it. It was weird. I got to see this part, like I'm doing a circle from like the top of my head down to my chin.
You got to see just a face?
Just a face, so I know what the back of your face looks like.
What does it look like?
It's weird.
Like just the meaty part?
No, it was like the cartilage and bone skull part, like the whole thing.
So there was no face attached to it.
So they didn't just sort of like...
No, it was a face, because it's...
They still have the meaty parts?
Yeah, it was basically someone's face that they cut off right there, and since your jaw would have fallen off without the muscle was still on it. And it was
so they cut straight down. They didn't just like peel the
no.
Peel it off like a banana peel or something.
It was almost like a cross section starting from the top of your head down to like right under your chin, or like around your neck. They just took off your face. It wasn't just the skin. It was like everything but the skin. It was just the muscle fibers and the because you could see their mouth. It was held shut by the muscles. It wasn't the jaw was still there.
Because if the skin was there, that would just be gross.
No, the skin wasn't there. Like, I don't think that would stain formaldehyde very well. So it was like I got to hold a person's face.
In a jar.
No, I touched it. Like, you had to wear gloves,
obviously.
But like you could hold it.
Was this for anatomy or?
I think it was anatomy.
Because I obviously did not do that. I would remember that.
Yeah, anatomy was a really hard class, except for that day. It was awesome.
We had to dissect a frog and a rat, and that was it.
It was interesting.
Now that I've had pet rats, I couldn't do that again because
I absolutely hated the dissections.
I thought the dissect was kind of cool. We did a.
The smell of the formaldehyde just turned my stomach so much.
It didn't really bother me.
Oh, it bothered me.
It smelled like plastic.
Even like the earthworm thing, I was just like, I hate this.
Oh yeah, we did an earthworm too.
And I was so scared, like when I was in early high school, about going to college and having to take a college biology thing because I'm like, oh god, I'm going to have to like dissect a cat or something.
Well, I was going to say...
And then you get there and it's all online and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, we did minks was the biggest thing that we did, which was basically like ferrets.
Aren't those like, not rare, but like, it seems like those wouldn't be cheap to acquire, would they?
I don't know.
Cheap enough for a public Alabama high school to get them.
Yeah, so
I knew people that got to dissect like cow brains and stuff like that. We never got to do that because our school couldn't afford it.
I did sheep's brain.
What the fuck? I never did that.
Sheep's brain, mink, fetal pig, and a cow eyeball.
I did earthworm.
That's kind of cool.
Which are huge. Those things are big.
I got to dissect a squid one time because I did a little
sounds delicious.
marine biology thing. That was the first. I got to learn what formaldehyde smelled like when I was in like second grade. But that really
bothered me.
That was pretty. That was pretty cool because the lenses in their eyes are just like solid plastic feeling type things.
And they're really colorful.
So they let you like clean them off and just take them home with you. Just cool. Here you go. And then since the squids had the ink sacs, they let you like they gave you a piece of paper and they're like, use the ink to write your name on this piece of paper.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did a frog, earthworm.
Yeah, I did those too. The frog.
That wasn't there even much to see inside of an earthworm, really?
You could see you had to cut it very carefully. Like you could see its digestive tract and stuff.
Oh, okay.
There were a couple of other small things, but that was only in like freshman biology.
That was freshman biology, but in anatomy is when you did.
I didn't have to do anything like that.
But I got really freaked out because the teacher was like, "You either get minks or you get cats," and I was like, "I cannot do a cat. I cannot cut into a cat. I can't do that."
No.
So.
Too close to home.
But mink was okay. It was basically like a squirrel ferret. it was pretty cool. I liked. A lot of people didn't take it very seriously, but I was like cutting very properly. I was like, I could be a surgeon.
Ooh,
it was interesting. It was like a weeks long thing.
That's kind of neat.
It was fun.
I enjoyed it at the time, but I'm okay with not having to do that again. So
I love all the critters. I don't want to cut them.
The only thing, it was really weird when you got into the mink's stomach. You could see what it ate before it died. Ew. It was weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah. I remember, the only thing I remember learning from that was the muscle tensor fasciculata. And I don't remember where that is.
That's a pretty sweet band name.
Yeah.
For like an electro artist.
Right. It was such a cool name that I've always remembered it. I think it's somewhere in your leg. If you know what that is, you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I've said it 3 times already, but I guess I could just Wikipedia that and see what that is. I don't know how to spell tensor fasciculata, but that's a pretty awesome word.
I guess we were still talking about Google Glass, weren't we?
Yeah. Anyway,
whatever.
I don't really know what else you would make with it besides the Scouter, the
I'd probably
Terminator.
go with the orange glass for the Scouter. Just cause.
And if only they were cheap enough, you could crush it, like, you know.
Yeah, get really angry.
Yeah, or like put a little firecracker in it or something. And be like, "What's your power level?" And you look at someone.
It's so strong.
Yeah.
And then you die.
I've never really understood.
Because you just put a motherboard into your temple.
And then it becomes like this really messed up alternate reality game where like everyone's is rigged to possibly explode at any given moment.
Couldn't they just take it off?
No.
Okay.
By this point in the future, because we're talking about the future here,
right? It'll be implanted into your brain.
Well, they'll be sort of like fused, like they'll run sort of into.
It'll be like glasses.
They'll make little holes sort of behind your ears and wire them through.
Kind of like Jensen and Deus Ex.
Yeah,
his glasses.
Yeah, you can have the little pop out sunglasses next to your eyes too.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Totally not dumb.
Yeah.
It's not dumb, I swear.
I think if they ever do start
They're
having
blast
sort
shields,
of,
not sunglasses.
I think if they ever do start doing sort of cosmetic implants type things, that's going to be the one thing that I will get is just
Sunglasses that go here.
sunglasses that are in my face are the one thing.
As long as they didn't have any indication that they were there when you weren't wearing them, like it did in Deus Ex when you had those little things.
Yeah.
If it just made it to where it like went over my eyelid, that'd be awesome.
I don't know. That would still look really fucking dumb when they were like on.
No, I'm saying like
that'd look really creepy because then you'd look at people, but you'd have sort of like
black
dim eyeballs.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it went over if it was like under your eyelid and kind of flipped over, so you just kind of have black eyes.
That'd be terrifying.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be neat.
And even in Deus Ex with the thing, like with those pop out ones, you know, you said it has the little rings next to his eyes.
Yeah.
There has to be space for those, like on the inside of his head. So you're gonna have like your temples are gonna be sort of swelled out just a little bit to make room for
Oh
that.
god! What if you fall and like hit the head and you just have
break
shattered
one?
glass in your face?
Well,
No, they probably have they would probably have some kind of metal sleeve that they implant in there, and then the glass would slide into that. So even when the glass broke, it would be contained in that metal.
But then you
shield.
have a bent piece of metal in your head.
Or
it's better than a broken piece of glass in your head.
That's probably.
I'm not saying it's a perfect compromise. I'm just saying it's a compromise, right?
Or you could just argue that it's the future and it folds into itself into a perfect little line.
That's dumb.
I mean, you have sunglasses implanted in people's faces. I don't think that's too far of a stretch.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
I mean, I'm sure that's probably something we could do now, honestly.
Yeah.
Just no one's bothered yet.
I mean,
why would they?
You have this thing now where people are talking about you can make curves screens that still work, like on your wrist. Like that's probably how wearables or whatever are gonna be once they work. Like not just those weird Samsung watches that connect to your phone, like actual computers in your.
You know that.
I mean, don't they already have?
I bet it gets its first use in the NFL as a little play.
That'd be pretty cool.
Don't they already have like an e-paper kind of thing?
Yeah,
where it's like the electronic paper, but it actually like folds and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, just it's. I
saw that one time that someone took it and applied it to a like the envelopes we ship T-shirts in, the crinkly ones.
Yeah.
They put it in that, and it's like you could not think of a better use for that than putting it in the mail. It's like they had the shipping label on it. The very first thing, I think, one of the very first things, whenever those become widely commercially available, those e-papers, the very first thing that's going to come out for those is someone's going to make an app that emulates the Harry Potter newspaper with the moving pictures on it. That'd be pretty cool.
I guarantee you.
Or
one of the first things.
Or you can have apps that show you where to fold to make.
Because they already have GIFs and everything. So.
Or Penny's book from Inspector Gadget. That'd be pretty cool.
That one's not quite as well known now as it could have been.
It was more like it wasn't really e-paper or e-ink on paper. It was more like a computer and a book, which I always thought was the coolest thing. Yeah, that thing was neat. I always wanted one of those.
I always really like whenever they always have these ideas of high-tech things that'll happen in the future, and then we actually either have that or have something better than that.
Way better
like,
than that.
Whenever in that movie Big, whenever he's proposing sort of like electronic comic books where kids can like choose their own adventure or something like that, but it's also like they're all electronically delivered and you can like deliver them every month or something like that.
So a Kindle.
Yeah. so yeah, I always really like seeing that kind of stuff.
I can't wait for color e-ink to become a thing.
Color e-ink?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I don't think it's a thing yet.
What is that?
No, I'm saying like an e-ink display, but it's color.
Oh, like the Kindle e-ink display.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I never really understood the concept of that until I actually held one, and I was like, hey, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like they finally, or not really finally, but they figured out a way to light it where they just backlit it.
Yeah.
But now they still can't figure out how to make it color, which is one day.
I remember holding your Kindle, and it was the first time I'd ever seen one, like, actually held it and seen it on. And I was like, why isn't it on? And you're like, it is. I'm like, but it's a... Oh.
Yeah, that was really cool, except I had the one that wasn't lit up, so I couldn't use it very much. Now I just use it on my tablet.
Luckily, regular tablets, like the Kindle apps on other tablets, luckily they still do have options to make it easier on your eyes, like reversing the colors and stuff, because white print on a black background is actually way easier on your eyes than the opposite, like a computer display.
I don't find it that way.
Really?
I find it harder to read the invert.
I would disagree with that.
I know some people do, but like I can't.
It seems like it doesn't look as good to me, but it seems like it causes less eye strain for me, because if I lower the brightness, have not white text but sort of off-white text seems to be better, I think, over a darker background. That seems to be a lot easier on the eyes.
If you're worried about eye strain,
like your wall color is kind of that creamish color more than a straight up white
eggshell.
Yes,
it's really hard to explain what the e-ink looks like and why it's so cool without actually having it to show somebody.
Yeah, because it's like it's lit, but it's not lit. It's just it just looks, it's just chilling out there.
I mean, e-ink is a very adequate name for it because it looks like paper, which is pretty neat. And
if you're so worried about eye strain, though, just get some Gunner's game glasses.
Oh, God.
Reduce eye strain.
Some what?
They're like yellow, I don't know what that sunglasses. Is. Oh. And they cost like $200 or something. I don't know.
I think
bunch of e-sports.
I think my grandpa had something like that he bought from one of those as seen on TV commercials.
HD sunglasses?
The HD sunglasses.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Except those things were just hilariously large on my face. Like they were slightly bigger than aviators, but they weren't as like fashionable or
they were like 20 times nerdier.
Because they weren't sunglasses. They were just sort of like
yellow.
They're just kind of a yellow tint, but they were huge and they look really stupid.
The people that buy them do say that it reduces eye strain, but they could also be like fervently trying to justify their purchase.
Justify the obvious placebo effect of it.
Yes.
Well, there is that program that I tried to use one time for your computer screen. I can't remember what it's called.
Is it Flux?
Flux, yeah. The one I turned that on for a day and I was like, I cannot get used to this.
Because it changes the color temperature on your screen.
It warms up the color temperature of your screen to make it way easier on your eyes.
It's sort of like a yellow-orangey kind of...
It's kind of a pinkish looking color, if I remember right.
And it's... Because what it is it's attached to a timer, so like at noon and during the day, it's more like your normal display, and then at night it sort of gets sort of darker, and like you said, warms up the color scheme on it. But I just didn't really like that, because then I'd start playing games or watching a movie and I'm just like, the colors don't look like they're supposed to, because they change the color temperature of everything. So I like the idea, but it wasn't quite the solution I was looking for, I guess.
Everyone kind of just said, once you get used to it, it's awesome, but I could not get used to it.
I still have it installed on my computer, but I keep turning it off every time I turn it on. So we have one more sort of question. Well, Katie says, Troy made the first Something Awful post about Marble Hornets on June 18th, and it's just unfortunate that he waited, I wish he had waited a day so Marble Hornets would have the same birthday as Sonic Who. First of all, that is not Sonic Who's birthday, that is Shadow's birthday.
Right. And
Second of all...
I regret that every day, that it didn't have the same birthday.
Because that would mean that Marble Hornets would have had the same birthday as the launch of Sonic Adventure 2, right?
Yes.
Because didn't we look that up?
June 19th is when Sonic Adventure 2 came out.
Yeah.
June 19th.
And then a question, what happens in Alex Crayley's Marble Hornets? Does Brian get together with Sarah? How does it end?
Well, about that, maybe you should wait until
we can't...
the Season 3 DVD. There might be a few answers for that.
Maybe. A few. Maybe. We don't want to give too many details because we think it largely should remain a mystery, I think. But
even to us.
Yeah.
It's a very fluid process.
Whatever you think the most trite and unimaginative answer to that question would be, that's probably what it would have been.
Yeah.
Maybe with some... there would have been at least one Robert Frost quote in there somewhere.
Bobby Frost!
Probably near the end.
No, or either at near the end or at the beginning that it shows before the movie starts.
No, it wouldn't be text. It would be somebody saying, there's a quote from Robert Frost, and it says, and then they would say the quote.
Yeah.
And then they'd look really cool while they were saying it, and then the other person would be like, whoa, you're really right.
I imagine it would be kind of it would start with black. It would start with a black screen, and then it would have that. There's a quote from Robert Frost that says, the sky is blue or whatever, and
but then that would come back later,
and then they would fade it in to just like that person, like Brian or someone, kind of staring at the camera at the person past the camera, and then just like, I know, right? And then 15 years before, whatever, it goes back, it does a flashback, and then it works its way, and then near the end of the movie, it's just Brian going, here's a quote by Robert Frost. That is the most trite thing that I can think of.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Whew.
That's the way I see it happening.
That was meant to be. I think it's sort of a combination of just all of the worst sort of tropes about student films, of which there are many.
It seems it varies between schools, but I remember the one for University of Alabama was gangster movies, like mafia movies, crime movies,
Tarantino wannabes, and not wanting to wake up when your alarm goes off. Yeah.
It's those three things are the most common things.
It's all like reaching over and hitting the snooze button on your alarm clock. Yeah. Because we were at Joseph and I went to the Black Warrior Film Fest that UA put on recently for one of the days, because they decided to feature a bunch of our stuff in there. And there was one that came on, and it was just sort of like a guy talking to the camera like he was at a therapist couch or something, and it was in black and white, and he did like the Robert Frost quote and stuff. And I just remember leaning over to Joseph and I just said, Sayed. And I just said, is it bad that I can imagine Brian saying all of this dialogue at the camera? And he just kind of said, I was thinking the same thing. Because it's
the exact same thing.
Yeah, because it's a very recognizable type of thing, because it's very much a college, and I don't know, I guess a Tarantino wannabe would have been a little harder to incorporate into the Marmorn storyline.
Yeah. Never say never.
Yeah. That's true. It's like Alex tries all of those, but he's already tried gangster and Tarantino, so now he's trying the romantic comedy.
So it's just no, it's all in the same movie, so it's just a mess of genres that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like Brian.
Well, we've said that this is Alex Crayley's movie, but we never did say that it was his first movie.
Right.
So there is a chance that he could have tried some of these other things at some point.
Right.
Alex has been working on this script for a really long time, okay?
Since he was like 14.
And you motherfuckers are going to sit here and judge him after the years of work he's put into this script? You don't know what you're talking about. He's edited it dozens of times, okay? If he wants a fucking mafia flick in his romantic comedy, he's going to do it because he's a genius.
No one's ever done that before. He would be a trendsetter, really.
He'd be a visionary.
Yeah.
That's right.
He was editing that script during the audition process. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, I mean...
It's a fluid process.
It's a very fluid process. That's how you need to approach these things.
I think
Alex Crayley is like water. Okay?
I think the strongest attribute of Alex Crayley as a filmmaker is indeed his adaptability. How he can just...
I think this is a good
time to wrap it up.
Good time to wrap it up.
It is a good time to wrap it up. Thank you guys for listening. We're sorry we talked about wrestling and dissecting animals in Applebee's for so long.
I'm not sorry. I'm never sorry.
And we hope you'll join us next time in a couple of weeks.
Would you rather we talked about video games?
No.